There's a quantum physics discovery that explains why your life keeps repeating the same patterns, and why trying to change your circumstances will never work. The moment you understand what you're actually experiencing, you're not experiencing life. You're experiencing yourself reflected back through life. Everything changes. Now, here's what's fascinating about this discovery. Most people spend their entire lives trying to fix their problems from the outside, changing jobs, changing relationships, changing circumstances, but they never ask why the same patterns keep showing up. They're fighting the reflection in the mirror instead of looking at what they're actually showing it. They react emotionally to their circumstances, which just creates more of the same experience, because they don't realize their external world is connected to their internal state. And this is exactly why most approaches to changing your life don't work. But there's a quantum principle that changes everything. When you understand that your external reality is literally mirroring your internal frequency, you can stop fighting your circumstances and start changing what creates them. I'm going to show you the exact 4-step quantum mirror protocol that transforms you from someone reacting to life into someone consciously creating it. Plus, I'll give you the daily practices that will make this automatic, so you become the observer who shapes reality instead of being shaped by it. I'm about to show you how your worst life experiences are actually your consciousness trying to wake you up, and the 4-step process to decode these messages that can transform your entire relationship with reality. Right now, you might be thinking that sounds impossible, especially if you're dealing with something that feels genuinely painful or unfair. I understand that perspective completely because I used to live there too. For years, I believed that life was something that happened to me. A series of random events, difficult people, and challenging circumstances that I had to somehow navigate or overcome. I spent so much energy trying to fix, change, or escape my external world, never realizing that what I was seeing out there was actually a precise reflection of what was happening in here. The moment this understanding really landed for me, everything changed. It was like someone had given me a decoder ring for reality itself. Suddenly, every challenging experience stopped being something I had to defend against and started becoming valuable information about the unconscious signals I was broadcasting to the world. Let me explain what I mean by unconscious broadcasting. Every single day, without realizing it, you're sending out energetic signals based on your deepest beliefs, unhealed wounds, and unconscious patterns. These signals are like radio waves, invisible but incredibly powerful. The quantum field around you is constantly reading these broadcasts and reflecting them back to you through your experiences, relationships, and circumstances. When someone triggers you, when you find yourself in the same type of difficult relationship over and over, when certain patterns keep showing up despite your best efforts to change them, these aren't random occurrences. They're your consciousness trying to get your attention, showing you exactly what frequency you've been unconsciously transmitting. I remember a time when I kept attracting people who would abandon me, just when I was starting to trust them. For the longest time, I blamed them, called them emotionally unavailable, wondered why I had such bad luck with relationships. It wasn't until I learned to see these experiences as mirrors that I realized what was really happening. Deep down, I carried a belief that I wasn't worth staying for. That fear of abandonment was broadcasting so loudly from my subconscious that it was actually creating the very experience I was most afraid of. This is the shift from victim mentality to what I call becoming a conscious curator of frequency. Instead of feeling helpless when challenging things happen, you start getting curious. You begin to ask questions like, what belief am I holding that would attract this experience? Or what part of my unconscious programming is being illuminated right now? This curiosity doesn't invalidate your feelings or minimize real pain. It simply adds a layer of empowerment to your experience. The most beautiful part about developing this mirror mastery is that your external triggers become like a sophisticated guidance system pointing you toward exactly what's ready to be healed or transformed within you. That person who always makes you feel small, they're showing you where you might still be shrinking yourself. That situation that makes you feel powerless? It's revealing where you've been unconsciously giving your power away. That pattern of financial stress? It's reflecting back your deepest beliefs about safety, worthiness, and abundance. What I've discovered is that there are really only two ways to interpret life experiences: as random circumstances that happen to you, or as sacred feedback designed to serve your highest evolution. Random circumstances leave you feeling like a victim of fate, constantly reacting and defending. Sacred feedback transforms you into an active participant in your own awakening, using every experience as an opportunity to become more conscious and deliberately create your reality. When you start approaching life this way, something magical happens. You stop taking things so personally because you understand that everyone and everything in your experience is simply reflecting different aspects of your own consciousness back to you. You develop genuine gratitude for challenges because you recognize them as gifts, opportunities to see and transform unconscious patterns that were previously invisible. This doesn't mean pretending that difficult experiences don't hurt, or that you should spiritually bypass genuine emotions. It means developing the capacity to hold two truths simultaneously. This experience is real and challenging, and it's also here to serve my growth and awakening. When you can hold this paradox with compassion for yourself, you step into an entirely different relationship with life. The four-step process I'm going to share helps you decode these mirror messages in real time, transforming moments of upset or confusion into opportunities for deeper self-understanding and conscious evolution. Instead of being overwhelmed by life's apparent complexity, you start to see the elegant simplicity of how consciousness creates experience. But this isn't just spiritual theory. There's actual Nobel Prize-winning science behind how your consciousness creates your reflection. And understanding this research will completely change how you see the relationship between your inner world and outer experience. 3 Nobel Prize-winning discoveries prove something that will completely change how you see reality. Dr. Lipton's research alone will blow your mind. I know it might feel overwhelming to think about the science behind all this, but I promise you don't need a physics degree to understand these discoveries. In fact, when I first learned about this research, it felt like someone had finally given me the missing pieces to a puzzle I'd been trying to solve my entire life. These aren't abstract theories, they're concrete, measurable proofs that your consciousness is literally shaping your reality in ways that were once considered impossible. Let's start with Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cellular biologist whose research completely revolutionized our understanding of how beliefs affect our biology. For years, scientists believed that our genes determined our destiny, that we were essentially prisoners of our DNA. But Dr. Lipton's groundbreaking work revealed something extraordinary. Our beliefs and perceptions actually rewrite our genetic expression in real time. Think of your genes like a vast library of books, and your beliefs like the librarian who decides which books get read aloud. When you hold beliefs about being healthy, worthy, or capable, those beliefs literally turn on genes that support those qualities. When you carry beliefs about being unsafe, unworthy, or limited, different genes get activated. This means that every belief you hold isn't just a thought in your head. It's actively creating your biological reality at the cellular level. What makes this even more fascinating is that these genetic changes don't just affect your internal experience. Because you're constantly interacting with the world around you, the way your beliefs reshape your biology directly influences how you show up, how others respond to you, and what opportunities become available to you. Your beliefs literally become your biology, which becomes your external reality. Then there's Greg Braden, whose research revealed something that might surprise you about how the quantum field actually responds to our consciousness. Most people assume that if they think positive thoughts or want something badly enough, the universe will deliver it. But Braden's work shows that the field doesn't mirror back your surface wishes or mental affirmations. It reflects your deepest, most authentic beliefs. This is why someone can repeat "I am abundant" 1,000 times while their bank account stays empty. If their deepest belief is "I don't deserve wealth" or "money is scarce," that's the signal the field is reading and reflecting back. It's like trying to tune into a beautiful classical music station while your radio is set to static. The music is available, but you're not aligned with the frequency that allows you to receive it. Braden's research helps explain why genuine transformation requires more than positive thinking. It requires what he calls heart-brain coherence, a state where your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are all aligned and broadcasting the same signal. When this happens, the field has no choice but to mirror back experiences that match that coherent frequency. This brings us to Dr. Joe Dispenza, whose work has shown that when you achieve this heart-brain coherence, you create measurable electromagnetic field changes that extend far beyond your physical body. Using sophisticated technology, his team has documented how people in coherent states literally generate different electromagnetic signatures than those in scattered or fearful states. What's remarkable is that these electromagnetic changes don't just stay within your body. They radiate outward, interacting with the quantum field around you. It's as if you become a human transmitter, broadcasting a specific frequency that the field reads and responds to. When you're in coherence, broadcasting alignment and trust, the field mirrors back experiences that match that signal. When you're scattered, fearful, or conflicted, the field reflects that chaos back to you through your circumstances. These three researchers have essentially proven what mystics and spiritual teachers have known for centuries. Consciousness is primary and matter is derivative. Your thoughts, beliefs, and emotional states aren't just internal experiences. They're creative forces that actively shape your external reality through measurable scientific mechanisms. The implications of this research are staggering. It means you're not a victim of random circumstances or genetic destiny. You're not at the mercy of external events or other people's choices. You are quite literally a conscious creator of your reality, with the power to reshape your experience at the quantum level. Now that you understand the science proving you're creating your reflection, here's exactly how to apply this knowledge in your daily life. Now I'll walk you through the exact daily protocol I use. Warning: once you start seeing these patterns, you can't unsee them. This protocol has completely transformed how I experience life, and I want to share it with you in a way that feels doable and gentle, not overwhelming. What I love about this practice is that it doesn't require hours of meditation or complicated rituals. It's woven into the natural rhythm of your day, turning ordinary moments into opportunities for deeper awareness and conscious creation. The beautiful thing about developing this daily awareness is that it becomes like having a constant conversation with your own consciousness. Instead of feeling like life is happening to you randomly, you start to feel like you're actively participating in an ongoing dialogue between your inner world and outer experience. Each day becomes an adventure in discovering what you're unconsciously broadcasting and how the world is reflecting that back to you. Let me walk you through each part of this protocol, and please remember, this isn't about being perfect or getting it right every time. It's about developing a gentle, curious relationship with the mirror that surrounds you. The first part is what I call the morning frequency check, and it's become one of my favorite parts of the day. Before you reach for your phone, before you start thinking about your to-do list, before you engage with the world in any way, take a few moments to ask yourself, what am I broadcasting today? This isn't about analyzing or judging yourself. It's simply about becoming aware of the energetic signal you're carrying as you begin your day. Sometimes I wake up and immediately notice I'm carrying anxiety about something that hasn't even happened yet. Other mornings I feel a sense of excitement or gratitude that seems to bubble up from nowhere. Whatever I find, I don't try to change it right away, I just acknowledge it with curiosity. I'm broadcasting worry about that meeting today. Or I'm carrying this beautiful sense of possibility this morning. This awareness is incredibly powerful because it helps you understand why certain types of experiences might show up in your day. If you start the morning broadcasting anxiety, you're likely to notice more things that confirm that anxious frequency. If you begin with gratitude, you'll probably find more things to appreciate. The goal isn't to force yourself into a positive state. It's to become conscious of what signal you're sending out so you can make deliberate choices about it. The second part of the protocol is trigger recognition, and this is where the real magic happens throughout your day. Every time something or someone triggers an emotional reaction in you, instead of immediately reacting or trying to change the situation, pause and ask yourself, what belief is this reflecting back to me? I remember when I first started practicing this, my neighbor's loud music used to send me into a rage every single time. Instead of just getting angry and complaining, I started asking what this experience was showing me about my own consciousness. What I discovered was fascinating. The rage wasn't really about the music at all. It was about my belief that I had no control over my environment, that other people didn't respect me, and that I was powerless to create the peaceful space I desired. Once I recognized that the external trigger was illuminating these internal beliefs, everything shifted. I could address the actual source, my feelings of powerlessness, rather than just fighting the symptom. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when your partner says something that hurts your feelings, when your boss makes an unreasonable request, these aren't just random annoyances, they're precise reflections of specific beliefs or wounds that are ready to be seen and transformed. This brings us to the third part, frequency correction. Once you've recognized what belief is being reflected back to you, you have a choice. You can continue broadcasting the old frequency, or you can gently adjust your inner state. This isn't about forcing yourself to feel differently or pretending everything is fine. It's about making small, conscious shifts in your internal experience. If you notice you're broadcasting scarcity, you might take a moment to appreciate something abundant in your life right now. If you catch yourself transmitting unworthiness, you could place a hand on your heart and offer yourself some compassion. If you're radiating control or force, you might take a deep breath and practice surrendering to what is. These corrections don't have to be dramatic. Often the smallest shifts in your internal frequency create the most profound changes in what shows up externally. The fourth component is evening integration, which has become like a gentle review session with my own consciousness. Before you go to sleep, take a few minutes to reflect on the day's experiences with curiosity rather than judgment. What patterns did you notice? What mirrors showed up repeatedly? What beliefs were illuminated through your interactions and circumstances? I like to think of this as having a friendly conversation with my day. What were you trying to tell me today? What did I learn about my unconscious broadcasting? What frequency am I ready to shift tomorrow? This isn't about criticizing yourself for what you didn't do perfectly. It's about celebrating the awareness you gained and setting gentle intentions for continued growth. The final piece is what I call the sacred mirror response, and this transforms everything. Throughout your day, practice thanking challenges for the awareness they bring and celebrating beauty as confirmation of your inner alignment. When something difficult happens, try responding with, "Thank you for showing me this belief I was carrying unconsciously." When something beautiful occurs, acknowledge it as evidence that your inner frequency is aligned with receiving goodness. This sacred response transforms you from being a victim of circumstances to being a grateful student of your own consciousness. Challenges become teachers rather than enemies. Beauty becomes confirmation rather than accident. You start to see your entire life as an intelligent, responsive system designed to support your awakening and growth. What I love most about this protocol is how it makes ordinary moments extraordinary. A difficult conversation becomes an opportunity to discover unconscious patterns. A beautiful sunset becomes validation that you're aligned with receiving beauty. A frustrating delay becomes feedback about beliefs around control or timing. Everything becomes meaningful, connected, and ultimately supportive of your evolution. When you consistently apply this protocol for 30 days, something extraordinary happens. You achieve what I call the mirror master state. This is where it gets wild, I'm going to show you the advanced state where literally nothing can trigger you anymore, and how I achieved it. I want to be honest with you. When I first heard someone describe this state, I thought it sounded impossible, maybe even a little unrealistic. How could someone reach a place where nothing triggers them? Wouldn't that make you disconnected or emotionally numb? But what I discovered is that the mirror master state isn't about becoming emotionless or detached. It's about reaching a level of consciousness where everything in your life becomes a fascinating conversation with your own awareness, rather than a series of random events you have to defend against. Let me share the moment when I knew something fundamental had shifted in me. I was having a conversation with someone who, historically, could push every single one of my buttons. This person had a gift for finding exactly the words that would make me feel small, defensive, and reactive. But on this particular day, as they spoke, something extraordinary happened. Instead of feeling triggered, I found myself genuinely curious about what part of my consciousness this person was reflecting back to me. It was like watching a movie of my own psyche being played out through this interaction. Where I used to feel attacked, I now felt fascinated. I could see so clearly how their words were illuminating a belief I'd been carrying about not being good enough, a pattern that had been running unconsciously for years. Instead of taking their criticism personally, I felt grateful for the precision with which they were showing me exactly what I was ready to heal. This shift didn't happen overnight, and I want you to know that if you're not there yet, that's completely normal and perfect. The mirror master state develops gradually as you consistently practice the daily protocol. It's like developing a muscle. Each time you choose curiosity over reactivity, each time you ask, "What is this reflecting?" instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" you're strengthening your capacity to see life as consciousness rather than circumstance. What makes this state so powerful is that it comes with a profound sense of responsibility and unlimited creative power. When you truly understand that everyone and everything in your life is reflecting some aspect of your own consciousness back to you, you realize that you have far more influence over your experience than you ever imagined. Not influence in a controlling or manipulative way, but influence through the frequency you consistently broadcast. I remember another pivotal moment when this really landed for me. I was going through a challenging time in a close relationship, and I kept finding myself frustrated by what I perceived as the other person's lack of communication. For weeks, I focused on trying to get them to be more open, more expressive, more emotionally available. The more I pushed, the more they withdrew, and the more frustrated I became. Then one day, it hit me like lightning. This person wasn't reflecting their communication style back to me. They were reflecting my own relationship with authentic self-expression. I realized that in many areas of my life, I was the one who wasn't fully communicating, wasn't being completely honest about my needs and feelings. I was the one who was emotionally unavailable to myself. The moment I recognized this, everything changed. Instead of trying to change them, I started focusing on becoming more authentic and expressive myself. I began communicating more honestly about my own feelings and needs. And what happened was almost magical. As my frequency around communication shifted, so did theirs. They naturally became more open and expressive, not because I forced them to, but because I was no longer broadcasting the pattern of emotional unavailability. This is what I mean when I say that in the mirror master state, you stop trying to change your reflection and start changing what you're showing the mirror. You understand that every person in your life is playing a perfect role in reflecting different aspects of your consciousness back to you. Your critical boss might be showing you your inner critic. Your unavailable partner might be reflecting your own relationship with intimacy. Your demanding family member might be illuminating your boundaries and self-worth patterns. But it's not just the challenging relationships that become mirrors, everything does. When you see a beautiful sunset and feel your heart expand, you recognize this as confirmation that your inner frequency is aligned with receiving beauty. When you witness an act of kindness and feel moved, you understand that this is reflecting back your own capacity for compassion. When you notice abundance and prosperity around you, you celebrate it as evidence that your frequency is aligned with recognizing wealth and opportunity. Living in this state feels like being in constant dialogue with the most intelligent, responsive, and loving teacher you could imagine, your own consciousness. Every experience becomes meaningful, every interaction becomes enlightening, and every challenge becomes an opportunity for deeper self-understanding and growth. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of the mirror master state is how it transforms your relationship with other people. When you truly understand that everyone is reflecting some part of your consciousness, you stop taking anything personally. You develop genuine compassion for others because you recognize that they're simply playing out their own unconscious patterns just as you have done. You begin to see that their behavior towards you says more about their internal state than it does about you. At the same time, you take complete responsibility for your experience. You understand that if someone consistently treats you in a way that feels hurtful, it's not because you deserve it or because they're a bad person. It's because there's something in your frequency that's attracting or allowing that treatment. This realization is incredibly empowering because it means you always have the power to shift the dynamic by changing your internal state. The mirror master state isn't a destination you reach and then stay at forever. It's a way of being that you return to again and again, each time with greater ease and understanding. Some days you'll catch yourself slipping back into old patterns of reactivity, and that's perfectly normal. The difference is that now you have the tools and awareness to recognize what's happening and gently guide yourself back to the state of curious observation. This mastery leads to the most profound understanding of how frequency and reality interact. And here's the mind-bending part that ties everything together. Why your reality has no choice but to reorganize once you master this. What I'm about to share with you is the principle that, once you truly understand it, will make everything we've discussed feel not just possible but inevitable. It's what I call the reflection principle, and it explains why some people seem to effortlessly attract wonderful experiences while others struggle despite their best efforts. The reflection principle is beautifully simple. Your external world can only reflect the frequency you're consistently broadcasting. It's not responding to your occasional positive thoughts, your vision boards, or even your most heartfelt desires. The quantum field is infinitely precise. It mirrors back exactly what you are, not what you want to be or think you should be. Think of it this way. Imagine you're standing in front of a mirror, frowning, but desperately trying to convince your reflection to smile. You could spend hours pleading with that reflection, bargaining with it, even getting angry at it for not cooperating. But no matter what you do, the reflection will keep frowning until you change your expression. The mirror isn't being stubborn or unfair, it's simply doing what mirrors do, reflecting exactly what's being shown to it. This is what most people don't understand about manifestation and conscious creation. They're trying to convince their reflection to change while continuing to broadcast the same old frequency. They want abundance while feeling unworthy. They desire love while radiating fear of intimacy. They seek health while broadcasting stress and resistance. And then they wonder why their external world doesn't shift. But when you master your inner frequency through the practices we've explored, something remarkable happens. Your external mirror has no choice but to reorganize itself to match your new internal state. This isn't magic or wishful thinking, it's a fundamental law of how consciousness and reality interact. I witnessed this principle in my own life in the most unexpected way. For years, I struggled with financial abundance, constantly worrying about money, checking my bank account with anxiety, and operating from a deep-seated belief that there was never enough. No matter how much I worked or how many strategies I tried, I kept experiencing financial stress and unexpected expenses that would drain whatever I'd managed to save. Then I began applying the mirror protocol consistently. Every time financial anxiety arose, instead of spiraling into worry, I would ask, what belief is this reflecting back to me? What I discovered was that my frequency around money was completely oriented towards scarcity, protection, and fear. I was broadcasting not enough so loudly that the field had no choice but to mirror back experiences of lack. The shift happened when I stopped trying to change my external financial situation and started changing my internal frequency around abundance. I began practicing gratitude for whatever money I had, no matter how small. I started treating money with respect and appreciation rather than fear and desperation. Most importantly, I began to embody the feeling of abundance in non-monetary ways, appreciating the abundance of beauty around me, the abundance of love in my relationships, the abundance of opportunities available to me. As my frequency shifted from scarcity to abundance, my external financial reality began to transform. Not immediately, not dramatically, but consistently and undeniably. Unexpected opportunities appeared. Money showed up from sources I hadn't anticipated. I found myself making decisions from trust rather than fear, which led to better outcomes. My external mirror was simply reflecting back my new internal state of abundance. This is the power of the mirror shift. When you stop trying to manipulate your external circumstances and start mastering your internal frequency, your outer world naturally reorganizes to match what you're consistently broadcasting. The field doesn't have a choice in this matter. It's not personal, it's not testing you, and it's not playing favorites. It's simply responding to the vibrational information you're providing. What makes this principle so hopeful is that it means you're never at the mercy of external circumstances. No matter what's happening around you, you always have the power to shift your frequency and consequently what gets reflected back to you. Your external world isn't your enemy or your master. It's your faithful mirror, always showing you exactly what you're broadcasting so you can make conscious adjustments. The most beautiful part about mastering this principle is how it transforms your relationship with time and patience. Instead of feeling frustrated that change isn't happening fast enough, you start to trust the process. You understand that as long as you're consistently broadcasting a new frequency, your external reality must eventually reorganize to match it. You stop forcing and start flowing. You stop chasing and start embodying. This understanding brings us to what I consider the ultimate realization, one that has the power to transform not just how you see your life, but how you experience your very existence in this world. This brings us to the ultimate mirror awakening that will forever change how you see your life. The ultimate mirror awakening is realizing that everyone and everything in your life is you experiencing yourself from infinite angles. When you master your inner frequency through the 4-step daily protocol, your entire mirror world transforms to match your new self-image. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become a conscious curator of frequency. So here's what I want you to do right now. Look into your life today and see it as the most accurate frequency meter ever created. Every experience, every person, every challenge, they're all showing you exactly what you've been broadcasting. And tomorrow morning, before you even get out of bed, start with your frequency check. Ask yourself, what am I broadcasting today? This simple question will begin to shift everything. Now here's what makes this so powerful. This mirror protocol is the foundation for all quantum manifestation techniques. Master this, and you'll understand how to consciously create any reality you desire. Everything else builds on this fundamental understanding. And because I can feel many of you are ready to dive even deeper, if you've already watched my previous video where I revealed the quantum heart bridge technique, how your heart is actually a quantum broadcasting device sending electromagnetic signals 60 times stronger than your brain, then you already understand how to access infinite love timelines. You've learned the 4-step process that transforms your heart into a love magnet, and you've discovered how to generate coherence that quantum entangles you with your desired reality. Remember, you're not experiencing life happening to you. You're experiencing yourself reflected back through life. Change your frequency, change your world. The mirror is waiting to show you exactly who you choose to become.